Hello, and welcome to 66 Days. My name is Dr. Melissa Shank. I'm a mom, I'm a former teacher, and I've recently received my doctorate in education, which partly led to me wanting to start this project, 66 Days. What is 66 Days? Well, it's about building some goals. This first one is about developing some positive habits and learning about how to make those habits stick with you. I left teaching about a year ago to finish my doctoral research. This leads to a career change for me, which made me feel less confident in myself, less confident in my skills and abilities, trying to leave education and move into a different career. um, Everyone has tried and failed at something. So I feel like this is a place where I have connection with others. Think about New Year's resolutions. We've tried weight loss. We've tried changing our diets. We've tried exercise. We've tried building new skills. But some habits, despite our best intentions, just don't last. They're just not formed well. Well, this is a place where I'm hoping we can work on that together. I have a goal to build my own confidence, to develop some skills for myself, but as well, I have a learning goal as a teacher, former teacher, to develop some lasting habits, to share this video journal with others, teaching while I learn myself. This comes from the research, 66 Days. Research has been ongoing since about 2010 when Philippa Lawley and her research team looked into how habits are developed. Participants picked their own habits, they tried them out in their own home settings, and the researchers discovered that there was a 66-day average to form an automatic habit. The shortest was 18 days, and the longest was 254 days, which I'm not going to stick with. So I decided to focus on the average of 66 days as a framework for trying out some new things myself. Perhaps you have heard the myth of it takes 21 days to build a new habit. Well, that myth is based on the work of a plastic surgeon, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in a book that he wrote in the 1960s. He found that it took a minimum of about 21 days for his patients' old mental images to dissipate after their facial changes due to the plastic surgery. He guessed, based on his own experiences, that therefore it takes 21 days to develop a new habit. This myth got all over the research and all over the place, and got morphed and changed along the way until Philippa Lawley and her team did some more research and discovered the 66-day average, which is the one that I'm sticking with for my research. To form a habit takes three parts. They're what I like to call the 3 R's. You need a reminder, you need a routine, and you need a reward. That reminder, it's a cue. It's a part of your routine that's already there. That's a habit that you can stack onto to make an obvious change. The routine is that new habit, that action that you want to practice. And the reward is that good feeling, that celebration. How do you feel when you're accomplishing your goals, when you're actually doing the things you set out to do? Well, those good feelings, they lead to repeatable habits. You form a habit using an anchor cue. You cue that to your routine that you're trying to add, and then you add a reward. If you only have 2 of these elements together, you often end up with a habit that you don't stick with. But all 3 together lead to more positive habit formations. There are 2 different types of habits. There's habits that you build based on your identity, and there are habits you build on an outcome. Think of this as, who would you rather be? Who do you want to be rather than what do you want to do? When we look at these 2 different options, identity-based versus outcome-based, identity-based, who you want to be, starts with a small action based on what that kind of person would do. Eventually, evidence builds showing that you are that type of person that you want to be, which leads to good feelings and repetition of those habits. Whereas outcome-based seem like a good idea. They're based on what you want to do, things you want to accomplish. You plan them and take action, but often these things conflict with other actions, other habits that you've already formed. This can lead to some bad feelings and quitting your practice, which of course won't help you develop that habit very well. Yes, repeated practice is the key. As I always told my students, practice, practice, practice. But please remember that repetition is not perfection. Daily is preferable, but skipping once, well, that's an accident and it happens to the best of us. Missing twice or more is starting to form a habit of skipping that will lead to problems forming that habit along the way. Think about, as you want to form that habit, working in your real setting, your real life, within your own schedule as it really is, and choosing the time you want to spend on practicing that habit. When we look at repeating a practice of a habit, we need to develop that repeated practice so that the habit becomes automatic. As you can see here, it takes time to develop that, but it also takes keeping the repetition, the habit practice, fresh. Boredom tends to lead to skipping practice. So if you're trying to go for walks more often, walk on a new path. If you're dieting or changing the way you eat, try out a new food, something that's a good, healthy choice. If you're practicing an instrument, play a new song. Whatever it is, just try to keep it fresh so that you're still motivated, you're still interested in that daily practice of your habit. All right, so we got to do some planning in order to do this well. And for that, I like this ABC chart. The ABCs are an anchor, a behavior, and a celebration. Yes, this connects to the 3 R's. The anchor is that reminder, that thing that we already do within our day. That behavior is the routine. What is it that we want to add, that new habit? And that celebration is that reward. Don't forget to feel great about yourself, to focus on the positive of this. Looking at the chart, we see that after I do whatever that action cue is, that anchor that reminds us about the habit, I will perform this behavior. I will do this routine that is our new thing that we're practicing. Then I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to make sure I have a reward to feel good about myself, whether that be positive feelings or a reward that you give yourself in the day. Remember that your habit ABCs will help you practice forming a good habit. I have an example from my own practice, from my own ABC chart, a previous goal for me to be a healthier person. I decided that my anchor activity was I brush my teeth every night. Yeah, I do that because otherwise my teeth feel fuzzy and I don't like that feeling. So after that, I want to add in a new behavior, that new routine, which is I want to floss between my teeth, and I want to do it every day because that repeated daily practice is going to be what keeps me regularly flossing and makes it an anchored habit like my brushing my teeth already is. Then I want to make sure that I celebrate myself. I have reward. And for me, that's some pride in feeling like a healthier person, about someone who cares about my own health. Feels good. Don't forget that part. So linking this to my own experience, all right, here we go. I'm going to spend the next 66 days adding a daily piano practice into my routine. The identity focus here is I want to be a musician. I want to play the piano. I started practicing as a kid, but along the way, as I grew up, I developed bad habits of practice. I developed habits of not practicing at all, or there were times when I just didn't even own a piano to play. It's time to get back to it. It's the habit I've decided to focus on for my next 66-day project. Don't forget, I have to have a reminder for that, a cue that anchors that daily practice. So every day I already put away the breakfast dishes. After I put away the breakfast dishes, I automatically walk into the room that has the piano in it. Well, that's a great anchor to then add in my new routine of daily piano practice. Don't forget, Gotta celebrate, gotta have a reward. For me, that reward is that I'm playing more difficult music as I go. I'm progressing through the instructional course book that I'm working on, the self-satisfaction of adding in that new daily habit, and of course, that identity base. I am a musician. I express myself musically. Musicians practice every day. So I'm going to be that. This is the habit I want to form. As a wrap up, there are 3 parts to a habit, my 3 R's: reminder, routine, and reward. Don't forget to tie that habit to your identity. I want to be this. I want to be healthy, so I'm going to floss. I want to be a musician, so I'm going to play. Repeat that practice. Daily is best, but don't beat yourself up when you skip a day. Life happens, we know it. Think about making sure you don't skip the next day and develop a habit of skipping. That's where it gets detrimental. Don't forget, feel good about yourself. At the end of this, you want that reward, that celebration, that feeling of accomplishment about being a better person that you want to be. I am super excited about this 66-day project. Thank you for joining me in looking at this. I will have an update soon to show my musical progress as it develops, as well as a new habit and a new learning to focus on to develop the habits and become the better us's we want to be. I'm Dr. Melissa Shank, and thanks so much for joining me for 66 days.